Greetings. This is Blessed Brooks here at Food and Thought Studio in the Durham region. He'll be sitting down with Paul West, letting us know how to deal with teenagers today and parenting issues that we all face.
Are you willing to listen to your child before you make a decision? Or must your words be final? It's a question every parent can ask themselves. If your child feels you do not take his feelings seriously, he may withdraw from you and resist the limits you set. Now, how do you feel about letting go of your child? Another thing we have found out that one of the hardest things parents must do to acknowledge that their children are no longer children and that they are growing. They are growing up. It is so tempting to think of your child as a child and not as an emerging adult. On the other hand, some parents are also ready for their teenagers to be out of the house, which sometimes also can make the child very insecure.
Okay, yes. Now, getting back, because I want to make sure we touch on that question, because there may be some. When you set the limits for gender limits,
yeah,
is there certain limits that you do set that are different because of the gender?
Well, I think when it comes to teenagers, there are certain things that are open for discussion, and I think whether being a guy or a girl, it all goes the same way because they all fall under the same category. There are certain things that can be open for discussion, and it doesn't matter whether you have a boy or a girl. The ones that can be open up for discussion are curfews, especially for special occasions. Privileges such as watching TV and going on the computer. Another thing can also be their room's appearance and cleanliness, and also dating rules, time spent with friends and acquaintances, and also study habits. These are all open for discussion, and it doesn't matter whether you have a male or a female teenager.
So these items are the items that you would negotiate.
Yes.
With your child and come to an agreement.
Yes.
With a bit of compromise on both sides.
Yes.
And then because they've had an input, it means that boundary that has been set, because they've had a say in the boundary, it has a better chance of standing. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have the non-negotiable ones too, especially drinking or helping around the house, using drugs, attending school, treating others with politeness and respect, dangerous situation, and school dress code. These are non-negotiable. So something you can sit on a table to discuss it, whether they want to do it or not want to do it. No, these are non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. So,
yeah.
All right. Dr. Mike, your answer has been clear, but let me ask you this: what about you've set some limits?
Yes, right.
And for some reason you said you should be in at 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, or whatever time it is, and this limit is not being followed. And you as a parent now get to the point of frustration.
Yeah.
What are the things that you should avoid when you get to that stage where you feel as if you're going to pull your hair out, whatever little hair you have left? In my head, you're going to pull it out. What do you do then as a parent?
That's a good question. The first thing I will advise every parent is that don't fight fire with fire. Rather than responding to violence with violence, it's better to exercise restraint and try to settle the kid down. Number two, think about the reason for the aggression. Ask yourself why your child acts the way she does. Perhaps she feels everyone is against her and she has to be on her guard. Or she may not know how to interact with other people. The third thing is also to deal with the underlying anger. Convince them that telling people what bothering them will be just effective as showing them with angry outbursts. So in other words, you're teaching them to be assertive, not aggressive. Okay. Other things will also helping them also to change their self-perception. Many aggressive youth feel their behavior is part of their identity, and they think people expect them to behave that way they do. So if you are able to help your child to be able to know that just being that way is not acceptable, goes a long way. Improving also, the last one I'll talk about is improving their relationship skill. Aggressive youth assume they can't get what they want without demands and intimidation. They have to learn basic social skill like making requests, asserting themselves properly, and voicing complaints.
Okay, so we have we've touched on a few subjects. Now, what about parents that you've counseled with over the years? And let's talk about what an effective style of parents or effective parents. What kind of can you give us some insight on that?
Yeah. Well, one of the things, some of the things I've come across are effective parents are sensitive. What I mean by that, they respond in the way that fit their child cues. They don't execute this respective. At the same time, they don't execute disrespectful behavior. Their limits are clear and enforced. There is give and take. The parents respect the child emotion and teaches him to thoughtfully consider the emotions of others. They are supportive and also encouraging. So these are effective way of parenting.
So they also have now? What if now we know the good way? So what's the bad way?
The bad way is almost the opposite. Is insensitive. The ineffective parents are very insensitive. They miss the cues of their children and misinterpret them. They are unresponsive. They don't respond to their child cue. Either they choose to ignore them or respond in a way that doesn't fit. They are also intrusive. They invade the child's space and move too quickly. They can also be dominating or tend to overpower the children rather than supporting them. So those are very ineffective way of parenting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. So it seems like we as a parent we need a lot to know in order to raise effective kids. So let's talk about this then. So over the years of teaching and counseling, what are some of the things that you found to be the keys to successful parenting?
Yes, the key to successful parenting come to one thing, and it's balance. Parents must, what I mean by balance is parents must simultaneously take charge and allow their children room to grow. In this, you must also be model of consistency and predictability. When children are sure about your expectation and the consistency of your I'll take that again. When children are sure about your expectation and the consequences of violating them, they are less likely to test the system.
I see. Yes. So those are some of the keys for a successful parent. Now, overall, to sum everything up that we've talked about, what are some of the final advice that you can give to parents who are out there listening to our show this evening?
Also, my final advice more so would be to the immigrants. I would say today's society places a high value on empowering teens and letting their voice be heard. The father know best approach, like what I say goes against all that. It creates a communication barrier and a feeling of resentment because it tells teens that their opinion don't deserve any attention. And if you demand blind obedience, what you get is you're often rewarded with rebellion.
I see.
Yes.
So balance is the key.
Balance is the key.
The same thing that our mothers told us a long time ago. That balance is the key.
Absolutely.
Yes. So Dr. Michael, I want to thank you for being here with us. Your insight was wonderful. I've learned a few things, and I trust that the members of our audience who have watched our show for Food and Thought may have learned a few things as well. So Dr. Michael, thank you again for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.